Today we are talking the third full-length album from Washington, I believe, Washington's own Iron Firmament in the Land of Pre-Human Kings. This is a follow-up to 2024's Cascadian Tactics, but this is like the first opportunity that I've spent with this band in quite a long, in like more than just a quick check on Mike.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I've been keeping an eye on this album because Word Guild had it up, for pre-order or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've got to cover this, and then fucking forgot. And then someone reminded us in the comments to check it out. So
Yeah.
thank you, whoever said that, because I 100% meant us to do this album.
Yeah, shout out to that guy. So this is a two-piece, from Washington, Krieger and CSZ. Krieger is also in Astral Gores, and Runeblade, which we actually covered on this channel
That was with the Ebony
last
Pendant
year.
guy, wasn't it?
Yeah,
SC.
so he's in some good projects, man, because both those releases were really good.
Who's the other guy? I meant to. It's like, what other
Si-
bands is the other guy? Because he does the sort of bulk of guitars and stuff on this, doesn't
Yeah,
he?
I don't think he. I saw on the Wikipedia, well, Metallum, that it was that he just does guitars for a band live, but he isn't. I don't think he's credited for doing any other stuff. So this might just be the first project.
It's kind of thing. Wow. I
Yeah.
mean, look, we'll talk about the guitars because they're pretty special.
Yes. So overview, quick. This is an ambitious project that mixes like raw black metal with atmospheric black metal, post black metal. There's like ambience in there. There's like some folks like influence as well, but it's all wrapped up in this kind of like fantasy driven. I don't know if it's like a science fantasy based on the kind of Bruce Pennington artwork as well. There's like, it's just ambitious from top to bottom, isn't it?
It is, man. It is. It's a really interesting listen. There's a lot going on. Um, but one thing that I will say about this album, and I don't know if I'm going a bit too early on this, but despite all this kind of ambience and atmosphere and stuff, the album's full of riffs
Yeah.
as well. There's so many riffs in there, it took me until I think maybe track 2 is when you first start really hearing these kind of chugging, quite headbanging sort of metal riffs in there. Took me a bit by surprise at first, and I wondered if it was going to be a one-off for that song, but no, like there's moments throughout, like when they go down that route, and I think it really keeps this album interesting.
Yeah, it's not something you hear in a lot of black metal. That, well, you do get chuggy riffs, but there is a lot of like metal centric riffing in this, which is like,
Yeah,
it's really cool, man. It's yeah, I guess what do you want to do? Should we go through like start from track 1, The Coast of Worlds? I thought this was like a perfect opener. This like the song's 7 minutes long. The songs are quite long in scope, especially the last song, 14 minutes. But this song is 7 minutes, and this really wraps up kind of what you're going to get on this album throughout. It flows like effortlessly.
yeah,
You've got great raw black metal moments with that kind of triumphant lead melody going on, that kind of the riffs sort of like interweave in and out of each other. It's really cool. But then they really experiment with paces. There's a big pace change around 4 minutes 20. It goes really spacey, like really ambient. Kind
yep.
of reminded me a little bit of Blood Incantation, and that won't be the
Yeah,
first reference that I make to them on this.
interesting. But I get what you mean. I
Yeah,
think I know what. Yeah, yeah.
but then when it comes when the instrumentation comes back in on this, there's like it almost goes like quite a dry hi hat beat, quite a closed hi hat beat, and it goes almost like a bit post rock. It's very
I know the bit you mean. It's so they stick click back in
yeah,
that bit,
yeah,
and the guitars they're quite gainy, but they're not heavy.
yes,
And it's got this like motoric drum beat almost. It's like old sort of 1970s German bands, that kind of
yeah,
thing. It's got that sort of sound, and it's amazing. Actually, that's one of my favorite sections on the album. That bit because you're not quite expecting it,
no,
and then it transitions really quite effortlessly into the heavy guitars again with like the double pedal part before going into blast. And those transitions they do so well, and they're transitioning from some quite, I don't want to say extreme stuff, but different changes in pace and mood and stuff, and it all sounds very cohesive and natural.
Yeah, that was one thing I wanted to touch on, man. The organic and effortlessness of their transitions. Like you said, like going from that, yeah, like 70s kraut to like black metal is it's bizarre. And but that was again like another blood incantation reference that I could, because they do that, but in a more like cosmic death metal realm. Like they definitely visit sounds of
They
like
do.
Eloy
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Whereas this almost feels like the black metal equivalent of a blood incantation record, especially with that Bruce Pennington artwork. I couldn't help but like look at that while listening to it and getting some of the kind of spacey ambient sonics going on and
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely.
making that
It works well
comparison.
as a package.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Track two, Purged of All Southern Influence. This song was great. This was like a slightly shorter song, around 4 minutes. There was really great like synth introduction of like just textures. It wasn't like they weren't overpowering with like synth lead lines. They were just kind of
Yeah.
building up in that kind of atmospheric raw atmospheric setting. But then, like you said, is when they brought in these kind of like stompier metallic chuggier riffs. They even bring in pinch harmonics as well,
I know.
which
Do you
I
know
was
what?
loving it.
Do you know what I liked about those as well is they were quite heavily reverbed as well. So you had this kind of echo on them as well, which I thought kind of didn't make it sound overly kind of say death metal or something like that. It had it fit it without sort of sounding too out of place.
Well, it brought like a kind of space
Yeah.
fantasy feel to it, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah, like you were talking about, Mike, that kind of like, yeah, the heavier riff section. It was around 2 minutes, but what was really cool with it was they played with like the syncopations and almost
Yeah.
tweaked the timing a little bit of it, and it,
When they slow it down, they
y-
sort of suddenly slow down and
yeah,
it worked really well. It kind of took you by surprise, but you're like in a good way.
yeah, really cool, man. Like that that song was really cool. Each song had like a really cool moment or
Yeah.
a few moments, but each song felt really unique and individual whilst being cohesive.
Did you have that I don't know if you like me, did you have that thing where you would as you were going through it, I was writing, "This is my highlight song." Then the next one came, I was like, "Actually, no, I think it might be this one." And I had that a few times, like, in a row.
Yeah. On first listen, that was my thoughts, and then I actually thought, "Oh shit, I don't actually have a special favorite song because they all are great." But
I
I
agree.
do have
Yeah.
actually one, and that is the first song for me. I think that.
Well, I have to have one because you asked me, so I need to have one in the chamber in
Well,
case.
think about it. So, track
Yeah, yeah,
three,
yeah,
Blue Blade, Flame and Crimson. This is where you kind of get a longer stretch of atmospherics and ambient. The first 2 minutes of this song are kind of like
yeah.
quite stretched out, and then you sort of get this like fading of distortion, and it all kind of comes together with this slower build up before these kind of like mid tempo blasts pick in, and you get this kind of real atmospheric black. This song is a kind of a lot more atmospheric black metal
Yeah.
centric. This song, you actually don't have vocals till like nearly 5 minutes into this song.
I was gonna say, yeah, because they had that opening section, which reminds me of the band Talk Talk. They did an album called Laughing Stock, and it's quite similar in ambience in an atmosphere. But yeah, when the band come in, you know, you would kind of expect vocals at
Yeah,
that point. But I like that they just held it off because it's the songs are filled with atmosphere musically, and I think the vocals are great on this, and I think they're really well placed. But there are times when they don't need the vocals because you've got these layers of synths and guitars, and you're listening to kind of the melodic atmosphere of that.
yeah.
And on this song, it's cool when they do bring them in because the song feels like it does get a bit darker, a bit riffier, and then he brings the vocals in, which I think is a really good way of changing the mood and what they're doing for the last few minutes of the song.
Yeah, that's good. That's well pointed out. There's a few moments actually that are quite like that throughout this song. There's a kind of it feels like they've got a little, not a cheat code, but they kind of know when to introduce vocals when the shift
Yeah,
changes. Track four. This was a kind. I think this was one of the shorter songs on the record.
it was.
Atlantis in Permafrost. I feel like this was a more straight up song. There wasn't that ambient inclusion. There wasn't much differentiation in terms of like sonics here, but it was just a ferocious, like high energy, very triumphant in tone, like raw black metal song, which I thought it was fucking cool, man.
I did as well. This was a riff fest, and I think this is the one that I've settled on as maybe my highlight on the album.
Yeah.
It hasn't. It does feel. You're right. It doesn't have that kind of atmosphere and things like that of the other songs, but it just for like short, like raw black metal riffs galore, loads of cool changes, cool little bits. This one's really got it. It's that there's a really great bit. I think it's about the 2 minute mark where he does one of those like oof,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you get the
yeah.
and you have the double pedal bit that comes in afterwards, and that bit was
I
awesome.
love
It's
yeah.
yeah, it's great.
I love when bands do that. I was actually
Same.
when I was listening to this song, doing my notes, I was actually I was gonna ask you a question. Do you think this band shine more in the kind of shorter songs, or do you think that it works better in context with everything else?
I think it works. I think it works well in context. Like I think the whole the whole thing of this band is probably the more drawn out atmospherics and things like that. And maybe this song is a little bit different, but it still suits it perfectly. And I think sticking it right in the middle of the album as well is quite a nice little breakup point to have something a bit more direct
Yeah.
and a bit more
It's bullet
to the point in that sense. Yeah,
especially after the previous song, which was like quite,
yeah,
more atmospheric black metal
yeah.
song.
I think this band are like they're kind of riff writers, aren't they? As well as this, and I think it's cool that they have moments on there to really shine with that, as well as doing the other part as well.
Yeah. What did you think of track 5, Laughter of the Storm Lashed Forest? There was, again, a really great mix of sounds that were going on in here, but I want to kind of get your opinion on the end. There's an end section ish around 3 minutes 45 with an introduction of a flute.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
It was right. It was right at the. It was it right at the very
It was
end.
quite near the end, yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of transitioned into that sort of noisier soundscape part that they were doing that was had a real sci-fi sort of feel. I loved it. I thought it was sounding great.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I love Jethro Tull, so you know,
All for the
I love
flute.
it when I'm all for the flute. Yeah,
Yeah, when it because it comes in with it has like a hammer on initially,
yeah.
and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" There's a flute. There's going to be a flute section, and
Well, you know what, and I know it's unrelated, and it's not like a band I'm a fan of, but you know that whole thing with
speed.
that band
Yeah,
Speed, yeah,
I thought that as
because he
well.
does exactly that,
Yeah,
doesn't he, during like a breakdown?
I thought exactly that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he does that live though, which is fucking. Have you
I,
seen him do it
yeah,
live?
yeah, it's so good. I think did it. I think this band play live, don't they? So I wonder if they'd ever crack the flute
They
out.
ever do it?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it depends how many. I mean, they'd have to have a bit more of a lineup, wouldn't they, than what they've got in making this?
maybe just get someone get the guy from Speed out.
Yeah, if they play in Australia, they can get the guy from Speed
Yeah.
to come up and two step doing the flute.
But yeah, man, track 5 it was again had real standout quality because the riffs in it were really unique. Like
Yeah.
they weren't like black metal in essence, but like the way that they deliver them was just really just a really cool song, man. I thought I really enjoyed that
Well,
one.
you didn't have any of those black metal tropes of like those kind of like single line, evil, icy tremolo picking
If they did, it was very
really as
subtle
part of
and
the
very
sound.
small.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then yeah, ends on track 6, which is the big bulk of the record at 14 minutes 41 seconds. It's the title track, "In the Land of the Pre-Human Kings." Starts very atmospheric, very slow, very drawn out. It was like 5 minutes of like
yeah.
ambient. I almost expected it to go into like a Death Doom kind of thing. That's the kind of
Keep it slow.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the feeling that it had. It was that kind
I'm
of
glad it didn't.
no, I'm glad it didn't. But it had that sort of feel to it.
Yeah,
But when the song does kick in at like 5 minutes 40, it almost felt like a completely different song. It wasn't cohesive to that section. So I kind of felt
no.
like this could have maybe been two songs in a way. You could have had that
Yeah,
as a
although I did feel like the way the synths, the way they faded out and the way the guitars faded in, it sounded like harmonically there was some thought behind that.
possibly in note in that singular
Yeah,
note,
yeah,
yeah. But I think overall that the feel was quite disjointed, but I didn't mind it. It was
yeah,
because to me it just felt like a different song, but I
yeah.
didn't mind. But I didn't actually know that it was one long song when listening to it first off. I did think it was a separate song, but it doesn't
Well, the
for me.
the whole album had that kind of flow, didn't it? Where you sort of felt like it was.
You weren't sure
I
when
feel like this
one.
is no, but I feel like this album has that. You listen to it, you listen to the whole thing,
Yeah,
sort of thing. It's meant to be listened to in that way, as opposed to picking through and picking out your favorites.
yeah,
Apart from maybe track three, I feel like track three is that one that if you wanted just like a quick blast of this,
yeah.
you could go for that one.
Or one even if you wanted a bit more. To be honest, yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
just listen to all
yeah,
of it.
all of
Just
it.
listen to the whole
Listen to the
thing.
whole thing. Make the
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
take the time out. Again, yeah. So like track 6, this song, it felt like an ending. I felt like they were trying to go for something quite epic in
Yeah.
scale. Like the
Yeah.
passages were quite long and drawn out, but it flowed really nicely. And then like the final 2 minutes of it were this kind of like atmospheric, clean moment.
Yeah.
But again, this is the kind of blood incantation. It really reminded me of something, the a clean song of Spot Starspawn on that, because it had, although it was like really well written and like calm and serene, it then went into this sort of like unease with a slight discordance going on.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a perfect ending for this record, man. It
Yeah.
really tied it all up nicely.
It did. That's the thing. I mean, it's their third album, so they've obviously they're obviously accomplished anyway. But they've got they you can tell that they've done a few albums before this to like
Yeah.
kind of really nail down their sound and know what they're kind of doing when it comes to releasing a new full length. This is great, man. This is one of the best albums I've heard this year so far. I was thinking it's been a really good week this week. Like we did Arbor and we did this, and I feel like both those bands probably appeal to similar fans of similar style of black metal in a
Hmm.
way. Like I always imagine the Taurus projects and Wergild like kind of well I like them both. I suppose
Yeah,
that's maybe what I'm
yeah.
trying to get
We
at.
like
Yeah,
them
yeah, yeah,
both. Do you like them
yeah,
both?
yeah,
Let us know in the
yeah. Yeah.
comments. But yeah, like this. Thanks for who the guy that recommended this. Sorry, I don't know your name, but yeah,
Yeah, thank God, because I reckon I would have realised this maybe in a couple of weeks' time and been like,
too
"Fuck, we
late.
missed it."
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, big shout out to that guy. Check this one out.
Or go.
Let us know
Or
what you
go,
think.
do you know?
What's that?
Or go. Could be a
Or
go.
girl? Yeah, sorry. No, I think it's a dude
Or
though.
whoever.
But yeah, if you check this one out, let us know what you think of it. It's definitely an ambitious, cool listen. And if you like this kind of content, we put out videos every Wednesday and Friday. So subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and we will hopefully catch you in the next one.